A lot of these may have still passageways still waiting to be discovered. I've always had a passion for megalithic sites, megalithic regions. I've been in many places. They don't say some sites are very easy to detail why this.
You're listening to Philosophy Think Tank, hosted by Live Mike and James Swagger.
Enjoy your extra big ass fries.
You give me no fries, I got an empty box.
Would you like another extra big ass fries?
I said I didn't get any.
Thank you. Your account has been charged. Your balance is 0. Please come back when you can afford to
Oh,
make
no,
a purchase.
no.
I'm sorry you had
Come
trouble.
on. My kids are starving.
Thank you for tuning in to Revolution Radio. Here at Revolution Radio, we believe in freedom of ideas, freedom of speech, and above all, we believe in freedom of existence and self-reliance. This station is 100% listener supported, and as a fundraising promotion, I have a kick-ass free gift for a $100 donation. 35,000 seeds. 25 years in the freezer. Long-term storable, 54 different varieties. So if food prices go crazy, the kid hits the fan, or if you just want to save tons of money every year by creating your own food like I do, grab our seed pack special. Just look for the banner on the homepage at freedomslips.com. Don't be a statistic. Don't be part of the problem. Be part of the solution. We need as humans to start taking care of ourselves and not depending on the mega corps to provide unhealthy, nasty food. Included in this package is also a DVD with 900 survival and off-grid living documents and the offline home canning how to do everything website all on the DVD. So when you're growing all that food, you know how to can it, store it, preserve it, etc. with all these documents. So thank you for tuning in to Revolution Radio at freedomslips.com. I hope you will pick up this package and start learning to be free. Revolution Radio, freedomslips.com, where information never sleeps and freedom is one seed that needs to be planted.
What are we doing live? Videos in the tub. Yeah.
You see, I grew up in America. I grew up in the land where phrases like, I have a dream, meant something. I grew up where I believed that freedom existed, that that's what I was fighting for, that our founding fathers made America the land of the free and the land of the brave. This is America, damn it, and I'm taking it back.
And now your host, Terry Joyce.
Hey, welcome to the Freedom of Joyce show on Revolution Radio. I'm Terry Joyce, your host, and thank you for listening to the show today. I just want to let you know that we are listener supported, so please do go to our website, keep us going, give us a big donation. We are, all of the hosts here are volunteers, and all of us are pretty much doing this from our heart, and we want to, express our thoughts and get some really wonderful information out to our listeners. So please do support us. There are several different packages with certain donations that you can get. There's a wonderful seed packet out there, and please do check out our site at freedomslips.com. I also want to give out a shout out to everybody in the chat room. I'm there too. My name is, you'll see the name Terry, T-E-R-E. Please do feel free to have any questions. We'll be taking questions and calls if you'd like in the second hour. And I do have a really great guest. I'm the host. I have a really great guest on the show today. And also in just a moment, we are going to do the Freedom Report with Dino Dad 32. But beforehand, I just had I was on Facebook. I'm always on Facebook. I love Facebook. I think that, I'm so dependent on Facebook that at one time when my profile was put on hold, I nearly freaked out. I used to freak out over cable television. That's when I was really hooked on TV. As a matter of fact, I didn't even date anybody if they didn't have cable. I would look at their television and I'd say, "What? Rabbit ears? Really? I don't think so." But now I've weaned off the television, and of course I am on Facebook quite often, not only to social network the show, or however, but I have friends, and I feel in contact with people, and I feel connected to people of like mind, which I suppose the internet is the ultimate law of attraction happening, because it seems like whatever you're looking at on the internet, the more that of what you're looking at comes to you, and more of the people who are all about what you're looking at actually you begin to connect with. So I'm really happy with Facebook, although, when my profile did go away, it was really weird. It was almost like feeling like, oh my God, I can't find out what's going on, and I don't have a, who am I have no presence in the world anymore, and that's the power of Facebook. Or I don't care for Twitter as much, because I'm a little bit long-winded, obviously, if you're listening to the show, so I have difficulty getting everything to go down in like 40 characters, but I do like Facebook a lot. And I spend a lot of time on there. I wouldn't say obsessively spend time, but I would say that losing Facebook almost feels like, I don't know, losing a part of your life, which who knew that being involved in a social network would have that kind of power? I mean, just thinking about like all the different people who are like looking down on their cell phones all the time, communicating with Facebook. And again, you're wondering, well, are you actually really engaging in human communication? Well, anyway, we are somehow engaging in virtual communication, and one of the things that got communicated to me today was from Angie Bowie. As a matter of fact, I'm friends on Facebook with Angie Bowie, who is David Bowie's ex, and apparently, as history goes, she created the mullet. Which, how historical is that? Apparently, some people think that the mullet is still fashionable. But here's an article that she posted. I find this really disturbing in many ways. It was from the New Yorker, and basically what they're saying is that the Supreme Court defends wealthy's right to own government. Washington, the Burwitz Report. By a 5-4 decision, the United States Supreme Court today defended the right of the wealthiest Americans to own the United States government. Writing for the majority, Chief Justice John Roberts summarized the rationale behind the court's decision. In recent years, this court has done its level best to remove any barriers preventing the wealthiest in our nation from owning our government outright. And while the few barriers that remained were flimsy at best, it was high time that they shredded as well. Citing the United States Constitution, Justin Roberts wrote, "Our founding fathers created the most magnificent democracy in human history. Now, thanks to this decision, the dream of owning that democracy is a reality." Justice Antonia Scalia also weighed in, telling reporters in the court, "After all the pro-gay decisions we've been making around here lately, it was nice to finally have a win for the good guys." Oh, you know what? Thank you so much for putting yourself out to be pro-gay. That's so kind of you. Thank you so much. And yeah, you are the good guys. I guess you do deserve a big win and become corporate America. It's like one nation under God and corporate United States. Thank you very much. I mean, how much more blatant can this be? And speaking of like how great we've given gay rights to America, and how awful Russia is about doing such things. Look what they're saying. They're saying, "Oh, we're so glad that we're done with that little duty. Now we get to eat our big piece of the cake right here. And you know what? There's none left for you. Thank you very much." I mean, it really annoys me. And speaking of President Obama and the situation in the Ukraine, I just wrote a blog which I'm going to do a meme on and post in all the different forums. By the way, my blog is sponsored by the Liberty Beacon, and my most recent post was, "Are we becoming a police state?" And one of the things that I pointed out was that, how sympathetic, Barack Obama was towards the Ukrainian protesters, saying, reprimanding them, telling them that, what, you need to make sure that your protesters are protected and they don't feel that they're being intimidated to voice their opinions and having their rights heard, like the wonderful democracy that we have in the United States. You know what? I feel that is so hypocritical. That that is like Sweeney Todd telling Jack the Ripper that maybe he should stop slicing people's throats for a while because it simply isn't in vogue at the moment. This is what I really feel about this. It's like we are willing to be pro-rights when it serves our agenda, apparently maybe to invade another country, but it doesn't really take care of the individuals nor protect the Constitution or the democracy for the people who live in it. This is one of the reasons why I want to talk about this. We as a country need to stop listening to shows like The View, where basically the view is, I don't know, I think it's Satan's view, maybe, and Barbara Wawa is just simply the oracle in which this information gets put out. Wake up, America, and realize that it's time to take our sovereignty back and make it so the United States was never meant to be a corporate country. It was meant to be a country of freedom and democracy, and we are not going to let this go down, and neither does my guest who I have on the show, nor my friend Dino Dad 32, which is about to give us the Freedom Report. I'd like to introduce to the show Jesse Spomberg, who is a activist and one of the most enigmatic people that I've met in the last couple of years. He is a host of a show called Fight Church TV, and is planning to run for mayor in the city of Portland, Oregon. Welcome to the show, Jesse Spomberg.
Yes, ma'am. I've never been called an enigma before. I'm pretty excited about that. It's a good thing, right? It's a good thing.
It's a good thing.
I'm wearing it like a badge. So, enigma. For the rest of the day, when people ask me how I'm doing, I'm going to say I'm an enigma. Thank you for having me.
Thank you for being here. And I like to also introduce the show Dino Dad 32. He's been here with us, our favorite gun advocate, to give us the Freedom Report. Welcome to the show, Dino.
Good afternoon, Madam Joyce. How are you doing today?
I am doing really well, and have been really looking forward to the show. And so you have a report of your own about current news that's happening. What's going on, Dino?
Well, before I start with that, I just wanted to say what you talked about this morning is important about the unequal distribution of wealth and these crazy laws that are being passed allowing rich people to get richer. You know what I feel America is today? Remember the old game we used to play, Monopoly? And, you used to play it to the point where one person would get all the hotels and all the property, and every time you moved, you landed on their hotel, and it became pointless to play anymore because they just got all the money. Well, that's what America is becoming. It's becoming at the point of that game of a Monopoly, where it's not worth it to keep playing anymore because it's unfair. Don't you think that's the way it is today?
Absolutely. I do feel that it's the way it is today, and I kind of even wonder if these games are created for us to fall into that mindset. It basically kind of is a game, right?
Yes. But going back to the Freedom Report that I have today. Have you been listening to the news lately? I don't know if they get this feed over in the East Coast, but here in California, our wonderful California State Senator Leland Yee, who was always on the news talking about taking away guns and how guns are bad. Well, what do you know? He was just now indicted on gun trafficking charges and corruption and fraud and 6 other counts that are pending right now. This was the guy who was always on the news telling us how bad our guns are, so he can go out and sell us illegal guns. Have you heard about this, Terry?
I have not heard about this yet. This is like news to me. So it doesn't surprise me, though. I mean, let's just think about Fast and Furious. And I'm not talking about the movie.
Yeah, you know, that was a terrible thing that happened. But the government has been doing this for years. I've talked to you about this. You know, the government has been taking illegal guns and giving it to gang members, you know, the Crips and the Bloods. Remember I talked to you about that? And you didn't know about that either, but this has been going on for years. And here's a state senator who is anti-gun and passing tons of gun laws here in California, who's going out and selling illegal guns and making lots of money. Now, that is the perfect example of the pot calling the kettle black. And also, the pot calling the kettle black is Senator Dianne Feinstein from California. Last week, she complained about the CIA spying on the National Senate. And I don't know if you remember this, but isn't she the head of the State Intelligence Committee who oversees the NSA spying program? Now that's the hypocrisy and the pot calling the kettle black, don't you think so?
I completely think it is. I mean, it seems like they're all hypocritical, all the way down from our president to everyone else. They're dirty. They're doing illegal things, and then they're blaming the very institutions that they further. It's not so much. It's not so great when they're being looked at, right?
Right, exactly. You know, I mean, they're so corrupt. I mean, the fact that this guy's charged with corruption and fraud, isn't that, an oxymoron? Isn't that what his job is? You know, and this is what's going on in our government today, just so everybody knows.
Well, you know what? Thank you for sharing that today, and I feel that it really brings to light the level of corruption that we're seeing in our own by our own representatives, by our elected officials, and why that we don't just impeach them or just simply get rid of them is beyond me. What do you think about that, Jesse? Oh, is he here?
Yeah, I'm here.
Okay.
I'm an enigma.
You're an enigma. What I mean, do you have any thoughts on what Dino's been reporting?
Yeah, I do. Like, okay, so like the Fast and the Furious and the one that just happened the other day, the one where they in Portland, where they set up the fake medical marijuana dispensary, and they got those boys in there, and they got the 2 boys to get tattoos on their necks so that they could bust up the gun selling ring. I think it should just be like left alone. The government should not be giving people guns to take guns away from people. That's just stupid. And honestly, I was daydreaming when you guys were talking, so I kind of missed the important parts. I don't want to lie and just keep acting, so I promise no more daydreaming.
It happens. We're all on the Pacific Coast over here, so I guess for some of us, 11 a.m. is a little bit early to engage our thoughts.
I'll be perfect for the rest of the show, I promise.
Oh, that's not a problem. Don't worry about it. I probably just kind of I caught you off guard for a minute.
You totally did. I was reading an article.
You were reading an article. Okay.
I was trying to stay abreast of the latest news so that I could share it on the show and be relevant.
Oh, okay. Well, you are pretty real. I mean, I think you're very relevant as to what's going on. You're quite you've done a lot for the Portland community, and you are often quoted in the papers. I mean, I've noticed that you've been involved in Occupy Portland. You've got this fantastic show, Fight Church TV. You're also starting a new radio show on Blog Talk Radio. What's the name of your new radio show?
Okay, you ready for this?
Yeah.
Fight Church Radio.
Ah!
I'm not really very creative, I guess. Yeah, so we just started Fight Church Radio. Tuesday was our first episode. And really it's the little sister of the Fight Church television show because, as you know, Terry, you've been on Fight Church many times, and we're still trying to get you to guest host it.
I would love to guest host it.
We would love to have you guest host it. But we don't take questions from the audience.
Right.
Any audience participation we just consider heckling. So, what I made Fight Church Radio for is the next morning, after Fight Church is done, we've argued the topics and people still want to contribute and they still have opinions. Okay, now here's a venue and here's a forum that you can come on and we can talk about everything that we talked about last night. And by last night, I mean Monday nights on Fight Church. So, for example, this Monday night on Fight Church, we're going to be talking about the $15 minimum wage proposal in Portland. So, of course, everybody's going to have an opinion, and I don't have the enthusiasm on Monday nights to listen to those opinions, but Tuesday morning, we can pick the conversation right back up, and we can just continue, and we take phone calls, and people can argue with me or whatever, and it's perfectly acceptable on Tuesdays. Leave us alone on Mondays. If I wanted you on the show, I would have booked you. So Tuesdays are the perfect, it's the little sister of Fight Church. So thank you for plugging that and for plugging Blog Talk Radio.
Oh, no problem. I mean, that's kind of the reason. I mean, obviously, if you're going to come and spend, do a show, let's plug it. I mean, where can people listen or find you? I really, I love Fight Church, and I got invited to come down. Somebody booked me to be a guest on your show. It was Kat. Yeah. So the minute I went there, when I first, because I had done, I was involved with Occupy Los Angeles and had done a lot of activism, my history and stuff like that. So when I relocated, I was feeling, well, where are the people that I know that I had, where are the activists, or where's my homies, basically. And so when I went to Fight Church, I was like, oh my God, here they are. I mean, it was kind of like I felt like, okay, good. I found that pulse of people who are standing up and making and being community and taking care of one another, which is really what I like about a lot of the things that you do. Before, and I know that we're probably going to go to a break here, maybe in like about 6 minutes or so. Can you just let us know I love your opening monologue or your opening speech of Fight Church TV. Can you kind of just go through like how you start your show and how you describe what Fight Church is for people?
Yeah, I've said it enough times I can just kind of put a button in my brain. So, okay, it starts out, who's never been to Fight Church before? And then they raise their hand or they don't raise their hand. And then excuse me. So, the fight in Fight Church doesn't necessarily represent violence. It can, sometimes it does, but it doesn't have to. The fight in Fight Church represents the bonding commonality of our struggle. So, we all have these problems that we deal with in our life, all the isms, I call them, Some people can't stay out of prison. Some people can't rent an apartment. Some people can't see their kids. Some people can't go to college. Some people toil every day for a job that doesn't pay a living wage. So everybody thinks those are individual problems, but they're not individual problems. What they are is individual symptoms. We all have the same problem. And so it manifests itself differently in all of our lives. It's just like if you have cancer, lots of people have cancer, but they have different kinds of cancer. So we all have the same root cause of our symptoms, and that root cause is a diseased societal model. So we live in a broken society. We live in a world where things that are white are black, things that are up are down, things that should be trivialized are embraced, and things that should be embraced are trivialized. So it's completely backwards, but it's fixable. There is a cure for that disease, and the cure for that disease is community. There is no problem that cannot be overcome if you throw enough friends at it. Whether you have one friend who is plugging the hole in your raft so that you guys can make it to the shore, or you have 50 friends camping on your grandma's front yard to keep her from getting foreclosed on illegally, or you have, the whole city of Portland defeat fluoride 61% to 39%. So seriously, there is no problem. You can't, and if you're thinking of one right now, if you're in your brain right now, you're thinking, Jesse, I know of a problem. I can beat that. We'll just throw more people at it. If you're like, well, you can't, then we'll throw more people at it. Everything can be fixed by throwing more people at it. So then the church part of Fight Church is simply like anywhere that you have a roof. There's a lot of things that are more Fight Church than Fight Church television. They're more Fight Church than Fight Church radio. They're more Fight Church than FightChurchPDX.com. And I might not even be there. So the church part we define as any roof which shelters benevolent planners. So wherever you are using community as the solution, and wherever you're using community as the antidote, I'm sorry. So wherever you are using Fight Church style tactics, that is Fight Church. I go to places all the time that are way more Fight Church than I am. I go to events where I walk in and I say, wow, this is so Fight Church. This is more Fight Church than the television show, the radio show, anything that we do. This is super Fight Church. And if I could tell by looking at my clock, I've talked long enough and we're about to go to a commercial.
Oh yeah, we're gonna go. It'll happen in about 3 minutes. So you'll hear the music, and then we'll just we'll take a break from there, and you can get some juice if you want to. And
Man, I was scared that my explanation was gonna go too long and go into the commercial.
no, if you want to talk more, yeah, you can keep going a little bit more if you want. You've got a couple more things to say.
Fight Church happened before Occupy Portland, right? We were already Fight Church, but we didn't really have an identity. Because what we did at that time was we treated the symptoms. I didn't understand about the root disease. So I spent my time, which I still do, raising canned food or raising coats for kids that go to school to have, crappy coats so they'll have a better self-esteem when they get to school. Or we raise blankets for people sleeping on the streets, right? But those are all treating the symptom. And then when I went to Occupy Portland, I learned, no matter how smart I thought I was when I got there, I learned that there is a root cause to this problem, and it's really, I just listened to some old episodes of my show. I guess I should probably tell you about that later, but I learned a lot about root causes and the disease societal model when I was at Fight Church, or when I was at Occupy, and I learned to stop only addressing the symptoms. Stop treating the symptoms. Like seriously, like if you have diarrhea, right?
Yeah.
Every day you have diarrhea. So you can either just keep flushing the toilet, or you can figure out what is giving you diarrhea and stopping diarrhea. And I know that's a terrible analogy, but it's just the one I pulled out right there. I don't even know where it is. But that's a symptom, right? Diarrhea is a symptom.
It is a symptom.
Okay, so now what are you going to do? Just keep going, oh my gosh, this diarrhea is really inconvenient on my life, and you're just going to keep treating diarrhea? Or are you going to treat your stomach? Or are you going to address your diet? Or are you going to address the fact that big money lobbyists are paying your legislators to put food in your mouth? Because that's really what it's doing, and it translates, at the very end of your intestine, it translates to diarrhea. But when it goes into your ears, and your mouth and your nose and your eyes and your senses, and it's lobbyist influenced. Man, I'm everywhere today.
No. It's fine. The diarrhea analogy is fine. We'll be right back with more Freedom of Joyce.
Listen to Revolution Radio at freedomslips.com. We'll be right back after this message. Revolution Radio.
You don't see it, do you? How closer we are to absolute chaos? The sick ones are sitting on their fat masses, eating and drink themselves into a stupor, polluting the world without a second thought while it goes down the toilet. Nobody wants to do the nasty work. You know, the shit that we all just think about. Most good citizens are just along for the ride and then bitch and moan and complain about everything when it doesn't work out. Get it done.
Revolution Radio, where we do the nasty work. www.freedomslips.com. Is your data safe? Do you have the necessary information to assist you in confidently living through just about any survival situation? Is survival and gardening, off-grid living, medical knowledge, or even natural or man-made EMPs on your list of personal concerns? Do you have your documents and your personal information in a safe place in your hands where you know where it is? Well, check out our preloaded EMP-proof thumb drive. Over 3 gigs of survival documents and how-tos, plus the USDA offline food preservation website, and much, much more, including a surprise bonus we just can't tell you about here. With plenty of room left over to store your most important documents. Imagine if a megavirus or computer failure took out your bank, or all the banks for that matter. Are your banking records safe in your hands? So when they get things fixed and repaired, you can say, hey, look, this is what I had. You have it, I want it back. Is your personal data safe? Family records, addresses, phone numbers? Well, squeeze on over to freedomslips.com. Yes, that's www.freedomslips.com. Click the banner on the homepage for the EMP drive to get the full scoop of everything that we offer. So, folks, keep your data safe for your peace of mind. Revolution Radio, freedomslips.com. You don't need to expect us. We're already here.